Well, hey everybody, welcome back to Wilbur Does. I know it's been a little while since I've put a video out there, and that's okay. Um, Here in the house today because of the snowmageddon we've had, and figured today is as good a day as any to clean up some of these guns and things that needs to happen since deer season's over. We're going to start with my muzzle loader. It is just how it was when I brought it back from the field. To include still having powder and shot and all that kind of stuff in it. But it is a Night disc model, 50 caliber. Really like it, super accurate. But anyway, got all the usual things that people would use. You know, got some hops number 9. Got some lubricating oil. Got some grease for the breech plug, some anti-fog stuff right here for the glass on the scope when everything's done. Highly recommend this. This is good stuff. And then your average, gun cleaning kit there. Anyway, let me get my rod and everything put together, break some stuff out, and we'll get started. All right, I think I have most things that we need. So I've got this, just your gun cleaning rod with the brush setup. I also have like a patch, like a larger patch type of deal to kind of sop up anything. The push pin, I don't really know what it's called, but sure, that's how we get our cleaning pads through there. Plenty of cleaning patches, wire brushes, things of that sort. So I guess it's about time. Oh, also you'll see that I've got some construction paper stuff down here since we are in the house, trying to keep the missus happy, keeping all the lubricants and stuff off the table. So it's pretty good for wet weather conditions. I'm just saying, nitrile glove over the end, keep it ready. So on nights, on this side, you'll see there's a set screw that keeps the bolt from coming out. I keep mine backed off pretty much all the time, so I don't have that issue. And I'm using my lead sled to double as a vise because why not? I don't want to spend the extra money to buy another product that I don't really need. So first thing, we're going to remove the bolt. I've also don't have a breech plug, but I do have a ratchet with a socket that will get the breech plug out, since I don't have the right tool. And to be honest, I'm probably not going to buy one. I just don't need it. When you clean it once or twice a year, this is kind of the best. It doesn't matter. It works. The breech plug, obviously it needs some attention, and that's okay. Like I said, everything's still in there, so we're just going to turn this up and, well, use my rod and push everything on through and get it out. There we go. Now, one thing I've determined in the past is that the bullet is fine. You can reuse the bullet. Now, obviously, there's no damage to the bullet. But this plastic jacket, once it goes in the barrel, it forms to the rifling in the barrel. And you don't want to reuse that. So this is going to hit the trash along with these 2 powder pellets. I use the red box of 777 Magnums, 2 pellets. It's 120 grain equivalent, and that very sufficient for what I need. So I don't know. Everybody cleans guns a little different. This is the way I do it. I'll take my gun cleaner rod with the brush, dip it down in the hops number 9. Then I'm gonna run it through there. Liberally coat the barrel with it. Make sure I get the breech and everything real good. But you're gonna run this through 3 or 4 times. Heck, I might even put a little more just to make sure that I get enough in there enough solvent to break that stuff up. Yeah, I am in the house, so there's a lot of background noise. I got little Wilbert in there making cookies. I got the puppy in there chewing on a dog toy. Mrs. Wilbert's in there doing some school work. So we're just gonna make sure this is nice and lubricated, or let the solvent work on it a little bit. That actually looks pretty good. So the next thing I like to do is I'll take a gun cleaning patch. And since this is a 50 caliber, I'll take them and make sure that it's got plenty of hops on it. I think I'm gonna swap that brush out and put my little pusher deal in there. Maybe I can find the correct adapters. It's always something. But oh yeah. And you can do a couple things. I've got some old rags here and old shirt. Let that patch go through. Yeah. You can see the first pass on that patch. Not sure if you can see that. I hope you can, but it's definitely needed. I'll run that same patch back through. Yeah. And I'll kind of repeat that process until the bore looks, somewhat clean, till the patches come out somewhat clean, and then I'll swap over to this little guy and dry it out. And then with a lot of my guns, I like to, leave that hops in there, or some gun oil or something like that, just to protect the barrel and while it's sitting in the safe, Yeah. This is the second patch. You can see it's already cleaned up a lot. So what I'm going to do with this second patch is basically just, it has tons of solvent on it. I like to go over the whole gun, you know, kind of give it a protectant, cleaner, all that kind of stuff. Just make sure that it's going to be good while it's sitting in the case. And then I'll come back later and wipe the excess off. Looks like I got a little dab of surface rust right there. But I'll let that work on the outside of the gun while I run this drying patch through the bore. And I know you don't have to use Hobbs, it's just what I use. I mean, there's tons of good gun cleaners out there that just run that one time through there. Oh yeah, perfect. Looks good. Actually, I think I'm gonna run that back through the other way one time. There's a little bit of something at the breech that I'm hoping to knock off. And I guess that's one thing is I don't have a specific breech brush. I know they make them. I know it's something I probably need to get. I just haven't done it. Yeah, they clean that up nice. So let me grab. Well, let me see. I've got a couple of different brushes here. This has just got nylon bristles on it. That one's not doing what I want it to do, so let me switch over to a brass brush and just kind of ever so slightly. Yeah, that cleaned that up a lot better. Okay. Well, I'm gonna wipe this down and kind of put it back together, and then I'll shift over and sit down and kind of give you guys more of a close-up on the breech plug and the fire pin, bolt assembly, and all that. And then at the end, at the very end, is when I use the little anti-fog glass cleaner stuff, just because in case I accidentally make a mistake and touch the scope with some oily fingers or something, it really cleans all that up. I can put the scope cover on and it'll be good. So, all right, let me get you guys around here and focused in on where I can sit down and actually do some stuff for you. So let me get that set up and then I'll bring you right back. All right, I think I've got you set up good enough where you can see, or I can kind of help manage it to where you can see what's going on. But, you know, your firing pin, you know, really let's see if I can get a good shot of this. The light is terrible, but that's all right. I like to make sure that all this fouling is cleaned up. My black powder guns are just dirty, right? But we'll get all this cleaned up with a brush and make sure it's lubricated. And that'll wrap that up. Now, if you know anything about muzzle loaders, you know that this piece right here is the piece that has to be clean, right? Yeah. If this is fouled up, when you pull the trigger, nothing happens. And it doesn't matter what kind of primer you use. If you're the fire delivery system, which is what this is, you know, the night disc, you put the little orange disc in there with the 209 primer, and then this covers it like that, and then the fire pin strikes it, and it sends the fire through this breech plug and into the powder, igniting the system, making it go boom. So if this is clogged up, or if it's impeding that little spark, the gun, in fact, will not shoot. So we're going to make sure we spend a lot of time. I have assortment of brushes here that's going to help us kind of get it cleaned up the best we can. And then we'll put some grease on it, on the threads, put her back in, and she'll be ready for next year. But we'll start with this. And solvent is your friend in a lot of these cases. Let's see if I can just submerge it in there and let that solvent sit in this plug and go to work. So looks like I picked the right one, or the right brush anyway. So we'll let that continue to work. I'm going to just start with the brass brush, because even though this is coated with the same Cerakote kind of finish, you know, I want to get all the carbon deposits off of this. And I can get all the old grease out of the threads. Just really clean this up and make sure it's good. And then what I'll do before hunting season next year, obviously we verify the accuracy of the scope and all that kind of stuff, but I'll take this back out. I really like to hit it with like some brake clean or some carburetor cleaner, and just make sure that it's all clean and dry. Re-lube the threads, and then she'll be good. But while it's sitting in the gun safe, you know, leaving that solvent protecting on it, you know, it doesn't hurt it. Y'all can see the mess we're making. This is why you put the paper down. So newspaper or something. For some of the more stubborn stuff, you can get a scribe and work it. But I don't know, I probably shot this thing, I don't know, a dozen times this year. So I'm not surprised that this kind of, during hunting season, I don't care about the carbon buildup as long as my breech is clean here and I can get fire through it. So Yeah, you can see that that's immensely better. Still got a few little sections there, little pieces, but it's not bad. I do have the smallest brush I could find, and it still won't go in that hole. Well, that's all right. This is where your brake clean and everything's going to come in play. You can blast whatever carbon and stuff is in there out, but I know I'm not going to be able to get you a look down in there. Right there, you can see how tiny that hole is, and that's all that you have to get fire from one end to the other, is that one little tiny hole. And she'll do it as long as you keep it clean. So let me dig around, find my grease, and finish this up, and I'll be right back. All right, I'm back, and what I have here is Lucas Extreme Duty gun grease. And what it is, it's a high pressure grease. It is plenty. It's not specific breech plug grease, but it is just as good or better. So basically all I'm going to do is put me a bead on there. Just kind of roll it in the threads like that. May even them heathens in there keep making a bunch of racket, y'all let me know. I'll take care of them.
She's taking my good cookies.
Fighting over cookies. She doesn't know that the dad tax is fixing to kick in too. Dad's going to get the best cookies. But you know, that's all you really want to do there. Just grease the threads up. Now I've got you repositioned here. Set my breech plug in there. Ease her on in. And then I don't usually worry about snugging it super tight. I'll just run it to the bottom. Let it sit right there, especially if I'm not going to be using it for another 8 months or 9 months. So that's it. Let's take a look at that firing pin. All right, got you back down here now. We're going to take a look at this firing pin, see if we can do something with that. I'm just going to stick it in here. Let it do the thing. Let that solvent kind of penetrate that carbon a little bit. You know, one thing with night muzzle loaders is they got two safeties. You'll have your firing pin and specific safety, and then you'll have the trigger safety. So that's messed a lot of people up in the past when these muzzle loaders came out. You know, people would forget about this one. They wouldn't back it off. You know, they'd flick that trigger safety up and have a deer in the sights, and then pull the trigger, and it wouldn't do nothing. But you know, if you know these things, well, yeah, I know. Personal experience. You know, sometimes that's the best way to learn. But so I think we're gonna be back in here with the scribe and really digging this carbon out of here. And if y'all know of better gun cleaners, y'all drop them in the comments. Something that, you know, will melt that carbon stuff away a little easier, a little faster. I think the guy on Project Farm, I don't know his name, but I think he did a episode on gun cleaners and lubricants. I may have to go back and rewatch that. But the old scribe technique is not too bad. You know, just getting it. Really, you're just trying to break it up, and then that solvent will kind of eat it away. Oh man, microwave. When this is all done, I'll get it all put back together. I'll kind of show you what this looks like with the disc in it. You know, for a while I couldn't find the actual discs for this disc model, and I swapped the breech plug out with a one that's got the little nipple that sticks out on it. It uses the red shotgun primer holder, and I wasn't too sure if it was going to work, but it does. I killed several deer with that before I came across the actual discs that I needed to use the flat faced breech plug. And you know, so now I've got both, and I've got enough that I don't know if I'll ever need to buy anymore, to be honest. But you can see that's already, I don't know how well you can see it, but it's cleaned up pretty good. Just that little bit of scratching. So let me give her another dip. I see one or two spots that needed some additional loving. We'll get that cleaned up. There's not a lot really, you know, to these things. It's even less on my wife's muzzle loader. She's got one of them, you know, break open style, where you put the primer directly into the breech plug. I can show you all the differences, but the cleaning process is pretty much pretty close to the same as far as the barrel and all that kind of, stuff. That might be good enough for me to get this end of my little brush in there. Do some final fine tuning on that cleaning. Yeah, it looks really good actually. Yep, all that looks good, and then wipe it down. We'll stick her back in. And then that would about wrap this one up. Let's see here. I don't know if you guys can see much of a difference, but she's clean. So, yeah, let me get y'all set up. All right, I'm gonna slide that in. This slot right here that you can see in this plug, I'm not the plug, the bolt, that's what this set screw rides in on the side. And that basically just keeps the bolt from falling out. Like say you're walking through the woods and it snags a vine or something, you don't just lose it. But this right here is where people mess up with the firing pin safety. But I think I've got a disc. Let's see what I can come up with here. This is the disc that I'm talking about. You got the little 209 primer in there. And that will sit right there. So you cock this, there's a little slot there, you set this in, and then back down she goes. And then that's what it looks like when it's got a primer in it. Then you would back this firing pin safety off. There's your trigger safety. You're ready to hunt. But I think the last little piece we got to do here is clean these scope lenses. I think I just got this off of the Amazon website or something somewhere, and been really pleased with the performance of the glass cleaning and anti-fog capability. So use the microfiber that came with it. And there's no streaks, none of that. Looks really good. And this should be it. Close enough. White rod down. And she's ready to go in the gun safe. So now this is the wife's muzzle loader, and I got to do the same thing. But like I said, a lot of those cleaning steps are the same. So the difference between her gun and mine is that hers is the breech load with the you know, kind of like the old H&R single shot shotguns and stuff. And then unscrew the breech plug, and then everything else is the same, cleaning and all that kind of stuff. But we'll get this one cleaned up and get that ready for the safe too. But as always, I appreciate you guys watching. If you haven't, hit the subscribe button, and we'll catch you on the next one. Y'all get out there and do something.